Hey, what's going on, party people? Happy Friday. It's a Friday time. It's a session time. I thought it'd be really fun to do something a little different on these lives. And, you know, you guys submitted some sessions. So I picked a session out of here, and I'm going to create a vocal chain on this session. And this one's in Logic Pro. So if you're here for the first time, this is Radium Records. I'm Bradley Deniston. I am a mixing, mastering engineer, recording engineer, producer, composer, and singer, songwriter. So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to design a vocal chain from scratch in a session from someone on our mailing list that just uploaded a session, and should be cool, should be fun. I'm just going to kind of talk my way through it as well and let you guys know what I'm doing and why I'm doing it and all that good stuff. And if you have any questions along the way, I'm happy to answer your questions on, you know, why'd you do that, etc. But we'll be working on Logic Pro today. And, you know, this is just a mailing list user submitted session. So I'm going to, you know, do my best to not get nitpicky with like how it's organized or the other parts of the track, but I'll try to explain to you guys how I think as I'm going in to dial in a vocal channel, right? It's 1 p.m. here in LA, Friday. Happy Friday to you guys. Hope you guys are doing really well. I know there's probably barely going to be anybody showing up to this, and I'm okay with that. I'm totally good with that. All right, so if you are here, go ahead and let me know you're here and show some love. That's all I could say. Let's go to the desktop. This is the Logic session, and we will get right into it. So I have a Logic session here. It looks like there's a bunch of different vocals, drums, guitars. Let's play the track first and just see where the artist has it right now. And then I will kind of get into resetting all the channel strips and designing my own vocal chain from this and just kind of show you what I would do with this track. All right. So I'll play the beginning verse and then into the chorus, it looks like.
Between you and me, this may come as quite a surprise. And everything but the first disease and feel as eyes. Show us your feeling now. Something terrible has happened to me. I don't deserve now, but please never be authorities. I don't better as well, send me a prayer. Between you and me, I leave some distance, man. I got the map of the world on the back of my hand. Ooh, and I'm out.
Okay, cool. So it's kind of like, for me, it's like Alice in Chains, Radiohead, like a little bit of industrial rock in there. I mean, I'm pretty familiar with this genre. Let's see what we got going on. I'm just going to actually focus on, I don't really like what he's doing with this panning of the vocals here. It's just not very effective. Might have seemed like a good idea when he did it. I don't know. But I just think it's kind of distracting, right? So like having the verse vocal like over here and then over there, like it's just kind of cheesy. But you know, if you submitted this, I think this is Lauren, right? If you submitted this, you're gonna get my full feedback and reviews, right? I also think that the guitar here is just stepping all over the vocals, and that's probably why the verse vocals got panned. First thing I would do with this, just to give some reference point, is this. I'll mute myself and I'll show you what I would do. Okay, so all that stuff is just really, really harsh and doesn't sound good on your ears. It's like, like everything's in the high mids and it's just killing me. So the first thing I would do is I would put these up the middle. I don't need these vocals like doing call and response left and right. That's just not that cool. And then this guitar, it can come down first of all, And second of all, it can be panned instead of panning the vocals, because why pan the feature part of a track? I just kind of think that that's kind of weird. All right, so I'm going to hear this just kind of by panning the guitar a little bit.
This may come as quite a surprise. Can't help but be alone. But the first is ears and feel as eyes. Show us you feel at home. Something terrible has happened to me.
10 times better in my opinion. Just like pan the right thing. Don't pan the vocals. The vocals are important. Leave them, especially if they're verse vocals. But let's focus on building a chain here, because that's why you guys are here, right? So I'm gonna get rid of some of this stuff. This is also kind of a no-no, I think, with writing, is like having overlapping vocals. You don't need a breath in there if you're like singing over it, right? And I would like really tighten this up, fade that, you know what I mean? Get that really tight, especially if you're gonna do this kind of like new vocal thing coming in. All right, edits, whatever. I just get nitpicky. I got a little bit of a, you know, OCD on this shit. That's what happens when you've been engineering for 22 years. Okay, so pre-chorus vocals is what we're going to do. I'm going to take that down because this is making me nervous. I'm going to take all this stuff off because I don't like it. But I'm also going to just kind of pay attention to what's coming in and out when he has things on here. Like he has 2 sends here. But let's bypass those sends and just kind of see what that is.
Between you and me, I leave some despair.
Okay, so for me right there, that's like an obvious amateur thing. Like your sends are bringing in all your volume for your vocals, right? Like this is where gain staging comes into play. Like just bring everything down. Like you don't need everything so loud. If you have to like send to 2 different buses to get volume out of your vocals, that's really weird. That should not be happening, right? I just think like you're in a position where your gain staging has just been really weird. Okay, so let's look at the mixer. I'm gonna just open the mixer, see what's going on here. And if you guys have any questions along the way, just hit me in the comments. I'm just gonna make a vocal chain, but I'm also just gonna kind of see where I'm at, because knowing is half the battle, folks. If you don't know like what's going on with your session, you're gonna be lost the whole time. You're gonna be like, where's that coming from? Where's that bus going to, bro? I don't know, man. Okay, so there's all these buses. Bus 25 is accepted in the vocal wide, vocal verb, and the vocal bus. That's weird. Why would you have the same bus? Okay, that's the output. Hold on. So that's good. 23, 22. Where's this going? Bus 25 is going to here, which is the all vocals. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so we have a vocal bus, and then we have an all vocals. And then it looks like vocal verb, vocal wide, which are kind of like effects that he's got going on. Totally cool. Totally makes sense. Absolutely. And then that's going to the all vocals bus 25. Got it. Okay, so let's look at what he's got on the vocal bus. Cool, fine. You're scooping some stuff out. I'm actually just going to get rid of this. And you got a CLA 76, right? Okay, so get rid of that. I don't need any of that. Not right now, okay? That's his vocal bus. So that's where all his vocals are going, apparently. So that's what we're going to focus on, is the vocal bus and the vocals here. All right, I'm going to reset this chain. And that's cool. Like, it's a cool vocal chain, but you got to tweak it if you want to make it work. And then I would go, just going to reset channel strip. Okay, and then this needs to go, that's right, to bus 25. Or no, vocal bus 24. Okay, so your vocal bus, right? Your vocals are going to go to your vocal bus, which is, I think of like as a mix bus where all your vocals go and get summed. Okay, so they should all be going to bus 24. And then on bus 24, you can do some additional EQing, additional compression, whatever, to kind of glue all your vocals together. Totally makes sense. All right, but what I'm going to do is focus on the inserts of this vocal bus and just listening to the vocal and understanding what it needs in the mix. And that is really the key to making a vocal chain that works for your voice and for your song, is listening, right? Like, that's it. Like, just listen. Like, spend time on listening, all right? So I'm just gonna listen to this, and I'm going to maybe pull out an EQ and just try to see like what's going on with the vocal, how quiet, how loud it is, whatever, right? So let's get into it.
Between you and me, I need some disrespect. Look at the map of the world on the back of my hand.
All right, great. I just think it's low in volume, but so far it's fine. I'm gonna probably just do some housekeeping stuff here where I'm gonna put in a high pass filter, go pretty steep on it, and then like just bring it up to anywhere where I just don't want any garbage, you know, like you could bring it all the way up to 80 hertz, fine. And then right away, like I hear like between you and me, like there's like there's little things that are peaking, right? So I want to like see what's going on there. Okay, so that 2.6 is just terrible. Like nobody really likes 2.6. So theoretically speaking, 2.6K is where like a baby cries, right? You know what I mean? And people are like, oh God, shut that baby up. So why would you want that in your vocal? Like, why would you want that just peeking out in your vocal so you can like irritate people's ears? Like that's, you got to get rid of that. So I'm just going to duck it a little bit here. I know I'll probably just keep treating that. But you know, I'm just going to duck it. I'm going to give it a little dynamic, which is basically just saying like a de-esser would, right? Like a dynamic EQ. That's all I'm doing. I just want to take out that frequency a little bit more. So let's see 2.6 area, and let's see what that did. All right, automatically it just makes it so it's not as, you know? So a lot of people just reach for a compressor, but why would you want the compressor to react so much to something that you don't really want in there anyway, right? So I'm going to tighten that up as well. Like I really want to just focus in on that frequency. Okay. And next thing, I am going to bring in some compression just because I also want like some volume from the compressor. So let's just compress with something that's very basic. Let's go 1176. There's always going to be a good choice on vocals. Let's see. Let's do the Rev E, which is one of my favorites. I also like the Blue Stripe, which I think is Rev something or other. I don't remember what the Rev is. Okay, so on here, I'm just going to do 4:1. Sounds good. And I'm going to get this compressor going like 5 to 7 dB of compression. Okay, already sounding better. Now because I want to deal with gain staging, I want to deal with all this shit that's like super loud for no reason, and why everything's turned up, I have no idea. But you can also see that the stereo bus he turned down 0.7. Don't turn your stereo bus down. It's an amateur move right there. Leave your stereo bus alone. You don't need to be turning this down. Turn your speakers down, right? You don't do that. It's not something we do. This is 0. It's stereo bus. It's 0. Like, just leave it at 0. Like, why would we don't turn that down? I mean, you know, unless you're like getting into the mastering stage, like just leave it alone. All right. And then next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just grab everything besides these vocals, right? I'm going to do this the dumb way and just literally grab them all. So you can do this better. You can go Command A and then, you know, do all that. You could set up in your mixer where you can grab everything. But I'm just going to grab everything and the verbs, right? We definitely want all this stuff. Vox verb. No vocal stuff. I'm not going to grab any of that besides the effects. So Vox delay, P comp, whatever. All right. So now I got everything grabbed besides the vocal stuff. And I'm just going to bring it down. I'm going to bring it down like 3 dB or so, right? Just give myself some headroom. Like gain staging is super, super important. All right, now let's listen to the vocal and where it's sitting as far as like volume. That's all I'm trying to do is like get a good balance here.
Between you and me, I need some disrespect. Look at the map of the world on the back of my hand.
All right, so that's getting there. I need to turn this thing down. It's like got this rise effect thing. I don't know what it is, but it's annoying. Anyway, I'm not gonna worry about that. So vocals. Bradley, focus is what you guys gotta tell me. Hey, Brad, focus. Will you send this to me when done so I can catch the beginning and keep it for reference? I'll leave it up on YouTube for the Radium Roundtable members. So if you're part of the Radium Roundtable, you can watch the replay, Benny. So good question. All right, so now let's get into this. So EQ, compression, that's all I've done so far. The vocal still just kind of sounds like not there. It's like not really in your face or anything. So the next thing I want to do is do some parallel compression, okay? And that's just to bring up the perceived loudness and thicken it out a little bit as well. So here I'm going to go like bus 28 because it just looks like it's unused. And I will go 100% to it, and let's just bring in like a compressor. It doesn't matter what the compressor is, but I really like this for parallel compression. This is good. Like Wolf compressor is great for this. Yeah, we got to focus, Brad. 100%. What's up, Seed Squatch in the house, baby? Hope you guys are doing well. All right, so I'm gonna smash this guy. I'm literally going to like give myself some parallel compression stuff, right? So let's go punch and crunch, slam. Fine, sounds good. Let's slam it. All right, and then you can also take off the noise, and you can hit these other dots, get yourself some more advanced stuff. But let's make sure this is also going to our all vocal bus, right? So this is our all vocals, not to the vocal bus. That's also might get some compression. So hopefully that makes sense. If you're not following along, then you'll have to just watch the replay because I'm not going to just keep explaining myself. All right, so this is bus 28, 100% to my parallel compressor, which is meeting everything at the all vocal bus, okay? Now let's bring this in and this fader in and just see what we got. So I'm going to label this P comp Vox, or I'll go better Vox P comp. All right, so vocal parallel compression. Let's roll.
Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Got the map of the world on the back of my hand. Between you and me, I need some distance, man.
Okay, so now we're starting to get at least the vocal to a certain like volume, right? Now, obviously, this vocal needs a vibe. Like, it needs to sit in the track. It needs to be like cool. It needs to be like, you know, all that good stuff. But for now, like, I'm just gonna fix this up. So I'm gonna drag this Pro Q and make sure that my vocal here isn't getting too chunky, like in those low mids, because I feel like it's getting a little too muffly.
Between you and me, I need some distance, man. I got the map of the world on the back of my hand. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man.
Okay, so I'm just adjusting stuff on this compressor. I want it to just give vibe, right? Like, that's what I'm trying to do, and I'm trying to thicken things out. So that's what I'm going to leave it at, and then I'm going to EQ out some of this 2K again. That's fine. I don't need to do it as much. And then I'll kind of sweep around this this low mid area so it doesn't get too chunky.
Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man.
Okay, so cool. Like, now I got like a little vibe there. I think that sounds much better. And let's bring it in and hear it all together here.
some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man.
Okay, way smoother. Now after this this compressor, I want to EQ again because I want to get rid of some of that chunk like right on the insert. And usually when you compress, especially with like 1176 or something, you're gonna bring that low stuff, that noise back up, and you'll see it on the EQ here.
Between you and me, I need some distance, man. I got the map of the world on the back of my hand. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. I got the map of the world on the back of my hand. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man.
Okay, so I like that kind of like 5K area on this vocal just to give it some spit, but I'm not going to do it with EQ. I'm going to do it with like saturation. I'm going to do it with stuff that has more color, more vibe to it, right? So on this, I'm actually going to hit it with another compressor, and I think the LA2A will actually bring out some of that idea that I'm talking about. But you can also use, you know, different compressors that have different vibes. And like for me, I'm trying to think of like what I would want to use on this, and I think a good choice would be, let me see, trying to find it, because I always forget what the vendor is. Sometimes like going by vendor is like so confusing. You're like, was it Good Hertz or is it Harrison, you know, console? It just gets fucking confusing. I am thinking Empirical Labs. I don't think I have it actually on here though. Okay, that's okay. So my next thing I'm gonna do is probably like a Fairchild would be good, like a 660, you know, something with some tone and some tubes. But my next thing would be like going with an Empirical Labs distressor. This might be really cool. Yeah, I don't have the UAD version. I don't have my UAD satellite on. I'm not gonna do that. I'll do the Slate one. The Slate one's actually really good. I like it a lot. Slate Digital. What is it? Mix Rack. Yeah. Okay. So this is just gonna give me some spit, and I like there's this thing in the distressor algorithm where they have like a distortion band, right? So there's like these distortion 2 and 3 algorithms in here. But this will be like a really fast compressor, and we can go 6-to-1. That's fine. And I'm just gonna adjust this. I might even just use it on parallel as well. We'll see.
Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man.
Okay, so the important thing on the distressor is that you adjust the attack to where like the vocal's still coming through and it's not getting smashed up front. And then like if I want to do that, you can do that, but I'm usually using like the distortion algorithm to just give it a little bit of spit. And I'll play it in and out for you guys just so you can hear how subtle it is.
Between you and me, I need some distance. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. I got the map of the world on the back of my hand. I need some distance, man.
So it's starting to sound better. Like it's starting to sound thick and like centered and all that stuff. And that's kind of like where I want to start with the vocal. I want to have that vocal sounding like really centered and like it was recorded well, right? So most of the time you're like fixing problems with the recording. I'm also going to come in here and use this little trickster here. See if we can find it. London Revival, yeah. So this is really dope on vocals too. I like to give it a little shimmer. This will give it like some of that top spit as well.
I need some distance, man. Got the map of the world on the back of my hand. I need some distance, man. Got the map of the world on the back of my hand. Oh, I need some distance, man. Got the map of the world on the back of my hand.
That's really starting to like come together, right? Like I'll just kind of take care of all these, take these out, and show you kind of before and after so far.
I need some distance, man. Got the map of the world on the back of my hand. I need some distance, man. Got the map of the world on the back of my hand.
Right, sounding cool. I think intelligibility can come up. I think we can also like get rid of some more like chunkiness in it. Maybe this thicken is not the right idea, but yeah, we'll go in here and we'll keep kind of carving away. But I don't want to do that before I start like introducing other effects. You know what I mean? So one thing I'll do is I'll just like see what he had, like the Vox wide, right? And just adjust those things as I send to it. Like maybe I don't like what's coming back, or maybe it's really cool. Let's check it out.
I need some distance, man. Got the map of the world on the back of my hand. I need some distance, man.
Okay, so I really like this widening. I think this is really dope. The only thing is, like, I think there's just too much high end in it. So I'm going to take this down, right? And I'm also going to see what he's got on this. Yeah, like this doesn't need to be peaked out like that. Let's go like that. And I even might want to take this and just get rid of like the top stuff. I don't want that on a widening bus. On a widening bus, I just want to like kind of widen and thicken the mid-range a little bit, right? So let's get rid of that as well. And then S1 Imager, not a huge fan of this guy, but you know, sometimes it can do some cool stuff. And let's try this out.
I need some distance, man. Got the map of the world on the back of my hand. Oh, I need some distance, man. Got the map of the world on the back of my hand.
Okay, so now we want to mess around with like some effects kind of stuff that's going to give it a little bit more. This widening bus, you got to be really careful with widening because it goes from like, oh, you thicken the vocals out in the middle to like, now it sounds like an effect and it sounds washy and weird and it just almost sounds like out of phase or something's really weird. So I got to be really careful with that. Like you want to be able to just dial that in right.
I need some distance, man. Got the map of the world on the back of my hand.
Okay, another thing I'm going to adjust just for gain structure is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to gain this clip down a little bit. And you can hear his capsules clipping a little bit, which kind of sucks, but like you can actually even see it in the waveform. See the clip there? So just be careful with your preamp, Lauren. Like make sure you got headroom for these parts because you're clipping them out. And you can hear the capsule just going, you know, so it's cool. But yeah, I'm trying to make a vocal channel strip without messing at all with the rest of the mix, which is always going to be a challenge. So bear with me here. All right, and then this is kind of going over a little bit. That's okay. I think what I'll end up doing is like throw a limiter on at the end, but I'm still just not finished with this vocal chain. I really want it to have more spit and more grime, maybe a little bit more kind of distortion or, you know, just something like have a vibe. So that's what I'm gonna mess around with now.
I need some distance, man. You and me, I need need some distortion. You and me, I 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 need some distortion. I got the map of the world on the back of my hand. You and me, I need some distortion. You and me, I need some distortion.
All right, so we're going to get into this kind of area and just kind of try to make that more musical and interesting. And one thing I'm going to use on this to do that is I'm going to use isotope. I mean, you can use a lot of different shit for this, but I'm going to use the isotope exciter. I think this is really cool for this because I can really kind of pinpoint the area. So like, for example, I can come up here and do like, 4K to like, 6K or so. And you also got to be really careful when you get into this, like with the essing, the de-essing, you got to be careful with it. So in here, I want to use something like maybe tape, maybe tube, maybe analog, I don't know. But I'm just going to kind of give it some spit in there. And then we can also do that kind of like in the mid-range here. I think like the 900 to, yeah, like we'll kind of treat these areas a little differently. This triode, probably go a little bit more warm on this one. Because I think his, he's kind of like peaked out in the, like it's just part of his voice and like where he's reaching, which is just kind of part of where that's at. You got to be really careful. Like even the right mic isn't going to, it's not going to make that sound musical. So what you want to do is distort it, right? Like add harmonics to it to thicken it out and to make it more musical, to make it more soft, if that makes sense, right? So I'm just going to kind of blend these in and see what we get out of these.
You and me, I need some distortion. I got the map of the world on the back of my hand. You and me, I need some distortion. 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 I got the map of the world on the back of my hand. You and me, I need some distortion. You and me, I need some distortion. You and me, I need some distortion. I got the map of the world on the back of my hand. You and me, I need some distortion. I got the map of the world on the back of my hand. You and me, I need some distortion. I got the map of the world on the back of my hand. You and me, I need some distortion.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Lauren. It means a lot, dude. Thank you so much. Lauren, hitting me with the 15. Give me the 15 spot. Appreciate that, bro. Yeah, so you kind of see what I'm doing with your vocal. It just needs like more texture, like more cool shit. You know what I'm saying? But you got to fix the problems before you go reaching for the cool shit. If that makes sense. Like I have to soften this area right in here, like quite a bit to be able to actually distort it. And if you start distorting something that's peaked out like how it was, I mean, with this, just going back on this chain, like if you have this, this area is fine. I don't mind this area. I'm just kind of like doing some housekeeping there, and I actually shouldn't be peaking that out. But this 2K area, like this whole thing, like that's got to be treated. You got to be careful with that with the recording, right? Like just watch that area. Use like a better preamp or like maybe something a little more analog, etc. And yeah, I actually want to like maybe beef it out in this kind of like middle area. I'm not really sure where, but it might be around that 500 area. I don't really know. So I'm just kind of like going as I go. I'm trying to see what's going on. And then, yeah, you got to just kind of like tuck these things back before you hit this other stuff, right? So as I compress, it's going to bring it all back up. So no matter what. And then I'm adding some thickness here. And then this shimmer on the revival, I might even back off as I start to distort. So as you change one thing, you're changing another thing. Don't think that this is like a linear thing. It's not. It's like a modular thing. Everything affects everything. So you got to just like constantly be, you know, even my send, like this send, like I might be, you know, go back and fuck with that a little bit more. All right, you guys liking this? If you're liking this, throw some thumbs up. Show me that you're alive, you know, because this stuff is, you know, this is 22 years of working on music, bro. So if you guys like this kind of stuff, I'll do more of it. But I need some participation, bro. Like, I'm not trying to be on here on my Friday. I got so much other work to do. Like, you guys don't dig this. It's like, oh, I gotta be on here. Like, I'll fucking leave, bro. I don't care. I don't care. I'll go make a track. All right. So, you know, this is for you guys. I want you to know that this is for you. I'm not expecting anyone to give me $15 super chat money. I'm expecting you guys to go, wow, I just learned some shit. I'm going to put it on my tracks. It's going to be sick. This is dope. I love the way that you did that or whatever. And you're going to go make better music. So we have better music in the world because there's a bunch of garbage out there. So just get better at this shit, right? That's all I'm doing this for. I don't expect to make $1 off this, all right? So I appreciate you guys coming through. And I know, like, always, like, the people that really are about this life, they always show up to this shit. You know, they could be at work. You know, they're like, it's Friday. They're like on their phone, like, dude, fuck yeah. You know what I mean? So I get it. I get it. This is a lifestyle right here. All right. So let's move on. So I'm now trying to balance this and get this vibe right. One thing I want to do here, if you really want your vocals to be really strong and pop, you can chop this stuff, right? And like literally like go in and get stupid with it, right? Like take this guy and gain this up so we're not losing it, right? See what I'm saying? Like bring that bitch up. Like let's even out this stuff, right? Then you get a better performance. You got to spend the time on your art. You guys got to like, you do the art and the performance and then you go and massage the technicals. That's all you do. All right. So appreciate you guys. Let's get it. Let's get back into it. Like you could level that out with automation if you want to, whatever you want to do. When it hits this peak part right here, right? Like you could totally automate that down. Like just listen with your ear. Like what's poking out? Turn it down. Like sometimes it's that simple. You don't need to like go and put 18 compressors on it. Just like turn it down. Right? So I'm trying to make this more of like a vibe, like garage rocky like it is, because that's what it's giving me. That's the signal it's giving me. So that's where I'm going.
Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, between you and me.
Okay, so you notice right away that between you and me, like that's like, dude, you got to be careful, man. Like that's got to be de-essed. I got to get rid of that, right? So I'm just gonna go in and I'm gonna grab a de-esser and I'm gonna just choke down on that area, like straight up. So let's find. I think I'll just use the Waves de-esser. I actually really like the Waves de-esser. Waves DS. Right? Done. Okay, I'm going to split this, and I'm going to go to where I think it is, which I think is probably like in the 6 to 8K range. And we're just going to listen, right? Go to listen to the side chain. Here we go.
Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. I got the map of the world on the back of my hand. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man.
No one ever shows you this shit, right? Like they're like, yo, you know what you gotta do, man? You gotta put that high band up and make it all glossy. Like, why the fuck would I do that with this vocal? This is not a Britney Spears record, bro. Like, get the hell out of here. So yeah, I'm gonna trim this out. I'm literally gonna roll out the high end because the high end is not good on this. It doesn't sound cool. Okay, so let's get like some of this intelligibility back, which we are kind of losing a little bit, but I kind of like it. It's kind of like saturated and sounds vibey, right? And then I'll back up off that, and I'll back up off that just a touch, you know. I mean, you know, I could do this like the more melodic or methodical way, but I'm just kind of doing this. I'm just kind of doing it. I just do it, guys. All right, I don't need to get rid of that. I think actually I want to look around like 3K or so. All right, let's try this.
Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. I got the map of the world on the back of my hand. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. I got the map of the world on the back of my hand. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. I got the map of the world on the back of my hand. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. I got the map of the world on the back of my hand. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. I got the map of the world on the back of my. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. I got the map of the world on the back of my hand. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. I got the map of the world on the back of my hand.
All right, this is starting to really sit well, you know what I mean? Like it's starting to sound really cool. Let's listen to like this thing ahead of it to compare the two, you know?
Between you and me, I need some distance, man. I got the map of the world on the back of my hand.
All right, it just sounds more like a record, you know, in my opinion. And now we can start to give like some effects, right? Like I want a little bit of space in the mix. I almost feel like we could even put him in a room, which would be really interesting. Let's just see if we can pull that off. I feel like that would be like more rock and roll to me, like sounding like it was recorded in like $1 million studio room. You know what I'm saying? So everything's on purpose, basically. So let's go and pop him in like an Ocean Way room. I think this will be cool. And I don't have my UAD installed because I got it in the downstairs room. So we'll see if we can actually get this going. Just demo it. All right, so with this, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give like an actual like room to the vocal. You know what I mean? So it's literally to tuck it back just a little bit. That's all I'm doing. All right. So M50 is a great place to start. It's an omnidirectional M49. So it's a great Neumann mic, really warm. I'm going to get rid of some of this low stuff in the room, and I'm going to get rid of some of the high stuff in the room, okay? Because remember, we're not trying to go for high highs and low lows. We're going for mid-range. This vocal needs mid-range, all right? And it's mid-range distortion in my hand. Like, it needs to be like, you know, modern record shit, all right? So let's turn off wet solo. I don't know. I don't think we need to worry about any of this other stuff. Just have it in reverb mode, and then I'm going to blend in. And all I'm trying to do is just tuck the vocal back, just a touch, like not going crazy.
Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. I got the map of the world on the back of my head. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. I got the map of the world on the back of my head.
So now you have like all this room for other stuff to come up. Like, for example, when I hear this, I just want to hear that growling bass line, like just perfectly glued with the vocal now. You know what I mean? Like this stuff here.
Between you I got the map of the world on the back of my head. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. I got the map of the world on the back of my head.
So there's also just like tons of stuff just fighting for room. So for example, if I turn on an EQ on this, you're going to see how much garbage is at the bottom of this that needs to be swept out, that is like totally eating it's eating up voltage. Like, if you guys have my mastering masterclass, like, you'll understand all this stuff. This is just like very basic shit, but you got to do it. All right. So watch all this that happens on this bass.
Between you and me, I need some distance, man.
That's just voltage. Like, the kick drum's not hitting as hard. Like, everything's just getting choked out because you like have all this voltage down under like 40 hertz and stuff on a bass. Like, it doesn't make any sense, you know? Like the kick drum, all that stuff, even like just sub stuff is just getting eaten up by this.
Between you and me, I need some distance, man. I got the map of the world on the back of my head. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. I got the map of the world on the back of my head. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. I got the map of the world on the back of my head. Between you and me, I need some distance, man. I got the map of the world on.
Yeah, so this bass is crazy. I don't even know if it's doing what you want it to do here. Anyway, I'm not going to mess around with the rest of the mix. Basically, that is like the finished vocal for me, unless I'm like doing, I'm doing like some effects and shit, right? Last thing I'll do on this maybe is like throw it into a little bit of a verb, but I don't even think that. I think it sounds cool dry. I think if you make it verbed out, it's going to sound really like dated. It's going to sound like 90s, maybe 2000s rock. If you keep it dry, you're going to get like that modern kind of vibe to it. So this is very basic. This is the vocal chain. I'll explain what I was doing here, getting rid of that peaky, 2/6 stuff, and getting rid of voltage down at the bottom. 1176 starting to compress and bring things together. I think we'll probably do like 5 to 7 on this one. Let's see. Yeah, you can see where it really pushes over. I would go a little faster on the attack, and I can actually feel like I can compress a little harder even with this, right? So here, let's try this. All right, so there's that. That sounds great to me. And we got a Pro Q kind of cleaning up this like that kind of stuff. Like you don't need it, so I just clean it up. I'll back off this. I think we should probably stay around 100 hertz. And then, yeah, just getting rid of the top because none of that's pretty. It's not pretty on this vocal at all. And it's not helping the song. It's just distracting. You can leave the top of that for like the snare, you know, and the hi-hats and, you know, the guitar clanks and all that shit. You even got some like effects and stuff in here. And then de-esser to catch that you know, all the S's and the crazy stuff that happens when you start to, you know, use this stuff. So this FG stress is giving it more compression, more attitude. And you can mess around with the attack to give it less or more attitude. Like, I'll show you what that does. So yeah, if you wanted to, last thing I would even do, like to try out, if you want to mess around with it, is, you know, throw like a plate or room or vintage verb on it. You know, just give it a touch of verb. I don't think it needs a lot. I think it needs like more of like a like either a room, chamber, plate sort of vibe. Chamber might work well, and you just want to go like really short on this. I'd say like 2 to 3. I want to go longer than that. EQ high cut would be like, you know, around that 6K or so, you know, and then the low cut, I'd get rid of all the boxy stuff at the bottom. And yeah, you could use this bass mold. Just like, I would just go back and then go now on this. I think it'd be cooler. And then, yeah, I think this looks good. And then maybe even like some pre-delay on there just to give it some room and space. Let's try this out and blend it in. And I like just like, because I like the color of it, I like to throw the L1 on, or the L2. Usually the L1, just because I like what it does on the top end. And it also kind of like will catch all those overs, anything that's going to like peak out. So I'll hit the ceiling at like 0.5, you know. I'm not going to do any limiting. You can turn auto release on, or you can go really fast with auto release. And then at least this way we have like a nice little safety net before the reverb.
Between you and me, at least this is man. Between you and me, at least this is man. I got the map of the world on the back of my hand. Between you and me, at least this is man. I got the map of the world on the back of my hand.
Cool, that's it, guys. Like, straight up, like, that's the vocal chain. So you got everything there. Hopefully I explained myself pretty well. That's without like going really into detail with like the edits and the tuning. Like, I would melodyne it. I would not use auto tune or anything that's gonna like tune in real time, just because it's rock and roll. Like, it's okay to be kind of you know, like, it's just like, you should be like floating in and out of pitch. That's fine. Just any parts where you're like, whoa, that's really flat, or that's really sharp, I would just fix those in Melodyne, like just do, you know, tune them up. And yeah, this is basically just like some saturation. And first I'll show you and let's just hear from the verse, like what was here going into this part, and just kind of show you what I was doing. And then I'll A/B with and without this vocal chain. And you guys can, you know, decide if it sucks or if it's better.
But the first disease and feel has eyes. Show us your feeling out. Something terrible has happened to me. I don't mean to belong, but please alert me, authorities. I hope that all is well. Sad things smell. Between you and me, at least this is man. I got the map of the world on the back of my hand. And I'm out. And I'm high.
What do you think, guys? Better or worse? I think it actually sounds like a record here, and this other stuff just kind of sounds like demo-y. Sounds like writing. But yeah, I'll bypass this in and out so you guys can hear the chain and what it's doing.
Between you and me, at least this is man. I got the map of the world on the back of my hand. Between you and me, at least this is man. I got the map of the world on the back of my hand. Between you and me, at least this is man. I got the map of the world on the back of my hand.
So, like, there you go. Like, you can bring up more parallel compression. A little trick to like push the vocal forward if you want to go even more modern with it would be to like use more parallel compression, or you can do stuff like you know, I think like Wave CLA Vocals has like a cool way of pushing things forward. But there's also like the mix down. I think this is really good for that. You know, this just kind of like gives it a little bit more forward feel. Glue, drive, you could throw a little drive in there, you know.
Between you and me, at least this is man. I got the map of the world on the back of my hand. Between you and me, at least this is man. Between you and me, at least this is man.
This kind of gives it that thickness, which I think is really cool. But yeah. The song in the section worked on has been leveled up. Yes. I think that's kind of the idea, right? So, typically when I make a mix, I'm not just working on the vocals. You know, I'd actually start with the rhythm section, just so you guys know. Like, I'm not like trying to show you how to mix a record. I'm trying to just show you how to build a vocal chain and what to look out for. But yeah, it has a lot to do with understanding the vibe of the record and just like understanding like where you're going. Like, at the end of the day, here's the truth. Like, I would start with the drums and the bass and like really dial that in, that, you know, make that sound super musical and big and powerful and like, you know, punchy and fat and all that stuff. And then I would start dialing in the vocals, and then I would dial in the guitars and other stuff around it. You know what I mean? So just always make sure, you know the style of music you're working on. Hip hop, same thing. Trap music, same thing, right? Like you have to, like, it's drums, it's 808, and then it's vocals. Rock, classic rock, anything like this where it's like, it's very foundational on the groove. You always want to start with the groove, and then you want to throw the vocals in. Okay, so I'm not actually touching the groove, and I'm not touching the drums and bass on this track, but that's what I would be working on first before I started working on the vocals. Just so you guys are clear, I'm doing this a little bit backwards than how I would usually mix a record. And then by this time, once I got the bass, the drums, and the vocals all in, I'm then going to start putting stuff on my master bus. And that's when I'm going to start to build and blend and get the textures and sonics right. So then I can add the guitars and the other elements that are maybe rhythm elements, maybe lead elements, maybe just ear candy, right? But they're secondary. Like, the vocal and the rhythm section are the most important part to tracks like this. And telling the story, making sure that it's intelligible with what he's saying, with the lyrics. The melodies are intentional, but also that it sounds vibey. It's not getting distracting. It's not harsh on the ears. It's colorful, musical, and it just sounds like record. And that's how I always think when I'm mixing or mastering anything. Even when I'm producing, I'm going to make a vocal chain that I feel is very powerful, is colored, and has the tones and the timbres that I want out of what I'm looking for in a record. You know, you throw a trap artist and a rapper in the booth, like, I'm going to dial in a tone for them. You know what I mean? I'm not going to just go like, yeah, well, let's just record this blank and just like figure it out later. Like, I don't really like doing that because I'm an engineer and a producer, and I want to like start to envision the final product. And know right away what kind of problems I'm going to run into. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope you guys have a great Friday. Thank you so much for the super chat money. I appreciate that, Lauren. And hopefully you liked this and you learned a lot from it. And yeah, I'll leave this up on YouTube, and you guys can kind of check it out again if you want. All right. Peace out. Thanks for all the love, guys. Go make some records. You know what to do.